There was a moment when I realized I had completely forgotten who I was. My life had fallen apart, and after a few half-hearted attempts at rebuilding, I just gave up. I couldn't figure out where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do. Life had worn me down layer by layer until I was just surviving, not living, not dreaming, not thriving, just getting through each day. And I didn't even notice it happening. I quietly gave up in small, subtle ways, accepting less than I deserved, convincing myself this was just how life was meant to be. And the worst part, I couldn't figure out how to break free when nothing seemed to resonate anymore. I felt too drained and exhausted to even imagine climbing out of the pit I found myself in. It felt like standing at the base of Mount Everest, staring up at an impossible summit. Just the thought of trying felt overwhelming. But the universe has a funny way of shaking you awake. For me, that wake-up call didn't come through some grand epiphany or blissful moment. It came through my divine counterpart, the one person who saw through every layer of self-doubt and every limiting belief I had settled into. The one person who reminded me that I wasn't meant to stay stuck. At first, it didn't feel like love. It felt like resistance, like being pushed, triggered, and stretched in ways that were deeply uncomfortable. There were moments when I questioned everything, my worth, my choices, even the connection itself. But looking back, I see it clearly now. That was love. Not the kind that keeps you comfortable, but the kind that holds up a mirror and says, "This is who you really are." Do you see it? Do you remember? He saw the potential in me, the version of myself I could no longer recognize. He saw how much more I could become. And when I finally saw it, when I finally remembered who I truly was, it was like the world snapped back into focus. The hard things I had survived, they weren't just random struggles. They were showing me how far I'd drifted from myself. I had unknowingly settled into a version of life I never imagined for myself, not because I chose it, but because I forgot I had the power to choose something different. But that realization didn't break me. It woke me up. Because once I saw it clearly, I understood that I wasn't stuck. I wasn't powerless. I had the ability to rewrite my story, to step into the version of myself I always knew existed, the one who lived with intention, clarity, and self-love. And when I did, I realized something. The fear itself was worse than the reality. Because once you've faced your worst nightmare and survived, it no longer holds power over you. That's what I'm finally starting to understand. Sometimes life breaks us down, not to punish us, but to strip away everything that isn't truly us. It's not the end of the story. It's the moment we begin again, stronger, wiser, and finally free. My divine counterpart didn't save me. He didn't complete me. What he did was far more powerful. He reminded me that everything I needed was already within me. He challenged me to rise, to grow, to reclaim my power, not for him, but for myself. And that's the thing about true partnership. It's not about codependency. It's not about fixing each other. It's about standing side by side as whole beings, constantly encouraging each other to reach higher, love deeper, and live more authentically. The transformation didn't happen overnight. It was a process of shedding old beliefs, facing my fears, and choosing, every single day, to step into the version of myself I was always meant to be. It meant letting go of victimhood and embracing radical self-responsibility. It meant realizing that my happiness, my peace, my success, these weren't dependent on anyone else. They were mine to claim. And it's still an ongoing process. Every single day, I have to refuse to let any self-doubt creep in. It's a conscious choice to trust myself, to believe in my power, and to move forward without questioning whether I'm worthy of the life I'm creating. And as I stepped into my power, everything changed. Everything. Quite literally overnight, my world began shifting in dramatic ways. Opportunities that once felt out of reach started showing up effortlessly. Relationships that drained me naturally fell away, making room for connections that truly aligned. My creativity exploded. My health improved. Life started flowing, not because someone else fixed it for me, but because I finally stopped waiting for permission to live fully. If you're in that place right now, feeling stuck, lost, unsure of who you are, know this: you haven't lost yourself. You've just forgotten. And sometimes the people who challenge us the most are the ones here to wake us up. It's not easy. Growth never is. But on the other side of that discomfort is freedom, the kind of freedom that comes from knowing you are the creator of your own reality. So, if this message resonates with you, take it as your sign. Your power is still there waiting for you to reclaim it. You don't need to wait for someone else to save you. You don't need to keep playing small. You are more powerful than you've ever realized, and the moment you decide to own that truth, everything will shift. Thank you for listening to my story. If this spoke to you, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear where you are on your journey. And if you're ready to fully step into your power, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need this reminder today. Remember, shift your frequency. Shift your reality. With Quantum Vibes.